you never know where a conversation can take you, especially when you're having one, maybe with a drink and a fun guest. Because as I was researching and trying to figure out a little bit more about our next guest, I realized some of the people he's worked with have been on this show before. So I can't wait to dive into all that as we welcome in Eddie of Eddie and the Getaway, whose latest EP or newest EP, Tumbleweeds and Nicotine, is out now. Maybe not when we're talking, but by the time this episode drops, it is out now. Let's welcome in Eddie.
What's going on? I appreciate you having me here.
Absolutely. And you know what I forgot to ask you before we got on air? How do you say your last name?
Eberle. That is exactly why it's called Eddie and the Getaway, not by my name. So, yeah, dude.
Well,
it's
I'll still ask you that question later, but but I was like, I forgot to ask him how to say his last name, so we're just going to call him Eddie.
boom. That's good. That's what everyone calls me anyways. That or some other things that are maybe not appropriate to say on air.
Well, that's fair. Or at least you don't want them to be recorded.
There you go. There you go.
So, now this is bar conversation, so I always, although last week's episode I did forget how to ask this question early, but normally this is my first question. What's your go-to drink, or at least what are you drinking tonight?
Well, both of them I have here. So my go-to drink is what I'm drinking right now. It's a tequila ginger ale or like a tequila pineapple. I like the sweet and also the little bit of tequila, you know.
I like it. Now, are you a Blanco guy, Reposado, Añejo, or where do you go?
Blanco usually, that or Reposado if it's a good one. But all Blanco, I'm acceptable. I accept all Blanco tequila.
I like it. I like it. So I was trying to figure out. I think I actually did decent on this one because, you know, you grew up in Michigan, or you were born in Michigan, grew up in Arizona. Now you live in Nashville. So I have 3 Chord, their Riot that they just put out, which seems fitting for what you do.
Let's go.
Which is distilled in Kentucky and Indiana and finished in Michigan. So, I mean,
There you go.
I don't know if we could get any better than 3 Chord with a guitar. I feel like I did okay on that one.
Oh yeah,
So.
no, that's awesome.
Now, you do tequila? Anything else, or pretty much tequila and try to stay out of trouble?
Yeah, I mean, I think tequila. The fun thing about tequila is you never know how the night's gonna end up. You know, you might sip a little tequila and have a nice little chill night, and then sometimes you drink tequila, and I know there's plenty of songs that write about it, but different things happen, which is fun sometimes too.
Now, I'm guessing you grew up on tequila because one being in Arizona, but you also played down in Mexico too, right?
Yeah, I remember the first time I actually. It's funny. That is why I drink tequila. I think growing up in Arizona and being so close to the border, and it's just kind of like a cultural thing down there. It was like if you drink anything other than tequila or like Pacifico beer or something like that, it was almost, or Tecate. It was kind of like, what's wrong with you? You know, you're super gringo if you don't do that. You know, so. But yeah, I grew up playing shows in Arizona, and then I remember the first time I ever had my full tequila experience. I had gone down across the border. I think I was 15, and we were with I was with my band, and one dude was a little bit older, so he was like our chaperone, and we played this bar down there, and I still remember it very vividly. We had 2 4-hour sets that we had to play back to back, Friday and Saturday night. And Friday night, we were greeted at the bar by the owner. He's super homie. I'm not going to rat him out. He's a great dude. But he greeted us with a giant bottle of Jose Cuervo. And I learned very quickly how to measure how much I was drinking, especially if I was doing it on stage. So I don't remember most of that show, but we got through it. So it was good.
See, you learned a life lesson early on.
There you go. There you go. Hell yeah.
Now, like I said, you were born in Michigan. You grew up in Arizona. Obviously, that shaped maybe a drinking habit. If in Michigan, you might be on more craft beer than anything. But how did it shape your musical influences and kind of your journey into music?
Yeah, I think coming from Michigan, there's so many, giant artists and bands that kind of came out of that. Obviously, before I was born and stuff like that, but in the 80s and 70s and 90s and 2000s and all that stuff. But I think Arizona, especially when it came to like when I was actually playing music, because I moved to Arizona when I was 9. There were a lot of bands in like the Tempe music scene, which is a town just outside of Phoenix. For anyone who doesn't know where Tempe is, it's where Arizona State is, and there are bands like the Gin Blossoms and the Refreshments and the Black Moods and some of these bands that I grew up listening to once I moved to Arizona, and then also kind of became friends with, and I was lucky enough to have them kind of take me under their wing and show me the ropes and everything. So I think if you listen to those kind of bands, and then you listen to my music now, you can definitely hear the kind of inspiration of that, and then also kind of the 2000s rock thing that I love, bands like Creed and Nickelback and Third Eye Blind and all those kind of bands too. So it kind of all started from Arizona, I'd say.
Now, where in Michigan did you grow up?
I grew up just outside of Detroit. Is where I was born. It's like Royal Oak, Bloomfield Hills is what Troy was the town, so Birmingham, that kind of area.
So, I mean, if you just stuck there, who knows? You could have been doing hip hop.
I might have been, maybe I was a rapper in a different lifetime. That could have been the, definitely not.
Or another Kid Rock.
Or another Kid Rock. I will take that, dude. Yeah, definitely Kid Rock. That was probably the thing I took most from Michigan with my influences, was just his attitude with stuff of not being afraid to just say what he feels. And, obviously it makes some people mad, some people like it. I kind of stay away from politics a little bit more, but I do love the way of the, using our amendment and our right in this country, which is, freedom of speech and being able to talk about the things that are important and that you believe in. It's pretty cool.
Well, and you get to share that through music and, tell stories. And, did your love of music start at age 5 when you got a drum set? Is that where
Yep.
all of this got kicked off at?
You did some digging. Heck yeah, dude. Yeah, my parents got me a drum set for Christmas, and then they kind of realized that was it was a very nice gift to give, but also probably the worst gift to give because it was the loudest instrument. So started playing guitar a couple of years later, and then moved to Arizona, started singing and stuff, and here we are.
I was going to say, I was wondering if they immediately regretted that, because anything loud in this house that I give my daughter, I immediately regret, because boy, is it on maximum volume at all times.
Yep, always, love it.
Now, so obviously they gently probably persuaded you to pick up the guitar. What did you love about it, and how did you end up growing to, that be the instrument, not be, drumming?
Yeah, I think it's kind of hard to write songs to drums. So I think that being able to kind of find out melody, and I remember there was a summer, actually when I lived in Michigan still, me and a couple of my buddies on my street that we used to play airsoft with, we would play airsoft, play Guitar Hero, and then we'd also write songs. We were like 8, it was terrible. I still have them recorded. It's embarrassing. I didn't know how to turn off the metronome in like the garage band sessions. So there's like a random metronome going through the entire song. But that was kind of when I started kind of writing songs. They were obviously very bad, but it was where I first kind of found the love for melody and songwriting and everything like that.
Now you kind of talked about obviously where you grew up in Arizona, that you had influences there. I'm guessing your parents also enjoyed some music and maybe an eclectic mix as well. So what music did you grow up on, and do you remember kind of really shaping maybe those melodies that you heard and things like that?
Yeah, my parents definitely were a big influence with just my musical tastes and everything. My dad and mom were big U2 fans, and that was definitely a band that kind of shaped my love for the guitar, because the Edge, the way he plays it, and kind of makes it, you can make it a synthesizer, do the dotted eighth note delay and everything like that, make it sound like really cool and ambient. That band, Coldplay was big, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, and then kind of like that 80s hair metal a little bit too, whether like Guns N' Roses and kind of fell into Nirvana. I kind of started in like the 70s and kind of went from there, and then found 2000s rock, and that's where like my heart lives, I think, for the most part. So
Well, and you mentioned U2 having an impact. I think even going to go see them had an impact, if I remembered reading correctly.
yeah,
When Bono pulled your sister on the stage, and
yeah,
that's kind of where you're like, I got to do that.
yeah, totally. No, I remember seeing her. We lived in Arizona at the time, and it was my mom's birthday. It was this really weird, like, God moment or like, just things lining up. It was the 41st show on the tour. It was on my mom's birthday, and and she was turning 41 as well. So it was really weird. And we happened to bump into Bono's cousin, who was just like walking around, had like a pass or something. We're like, where should we stand if we want to get pulled up? Because he does it during City of Blinding Lights, and he told us, and we went over there, and I was a fat little kid, so Bono couldn't quite pull me up. So he pulled my sister, which is a better choice, anyways. I think they'd like to. I think a little girl is like cuter to look at than a chubby little dude, running around the stage. Anyway, so but yeah, that moment was really cool because I think that was when I was like, I want to do that one day. I want to be the one pulling someone up. As a big goal, playing something like that, stadium, massive.
So you haven't been able to do that just yet, though, right? That's still on the
Not quite.
checklist.
No, yeah, still on the checklist. That's funny.
But you talk about that. You're young at that age. You see that, and then you basically willed it into existence, though, of music because, like you said, you were already writing songs at like 8, doing the garage band thing, having fun. But then you started a band like at 12, 13. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. We started kind of playing all around Arizona and the Southwest, and uh, got some play. We'd play like car shows and really anything we could play, and that was really where I cut my teeth with just learning the live show and learning how to perform, and even all the way down to like I used to run sound and kind of learned all the aspects of the live show to where I can put together in-ear rigs and stage setups and everything like that because it was where how I kind of like made money in high school was doing acoustic shows and doing running sound for people and stuff like that. So it was fun. I feel like I've been able to learn pretty much every aspect of what goes into like whether it be producing because I produce a lot of my own stuff, produce for other artists in Nashville and in Texas and stuff like that, and the writing and the show. So I do really like learning everything because it's just fascinating to me what goes into it, and also being a music lover, being able to value when you see a band play or an artist play, like knowing how much goes in, and the stuff that I'm doing is so small compared to like you look at a Luke Combs show where there's guys on the rafters and videoing and all this crazy shit. You know what I mean? So
Well, I mean, it's wild though to think that at that age you were not just it's one thing to do it like a show in your town at the local bar or whatever, but to be traveling. I mean, what was that experience like at 12, 13, early teen years actually going to different places? Because I'm guessing, like you said, learning the live show. I feel like even nowadays, where how people come up is a lot different. I mean, what's it like to think back to those early days?
yeah, I mean, I think it's really weird because when I moved to Nashville, because I moved to Nashville when I was 19, and I feel like it was like a different lifetime ago, like where it's like holy shit, I forgot that I did that back then. I don't know, but it is really cool just to. I feel very fortunate because it was usually my dad always loved music but never did music, so it was kind of a fun way to bond with him where I couldn't drive at the time. You know what I mean? I didn't have a license, so being able to cruise around with my band and play some shows on the weekends and kind of make a whole thing out of it, and it was a blast. I do really love those memories.
And then you were doing pretty well too. You as a teenager, your first band won a local competition that led you to open for Alice Cooper. I mean, that's a
Yeah,
pretty cool experience. I mean, how much do you remember from that?
I do. It was really a kind of surreal experience because there was I think it was 75 different bands and solo artists that were competing, and I broke my arm halfway through the competition because there's like 6 different stages of it or whatever, like levels to go to the next round or whatever. And yeah, it was after the third one I broke my arm wrestling my buddy, so my dad and I figured out how to basically get my guitar to sit up on this thing, and so I could walk up to it and like go like this and still play. And we ended up winning it, and then Alice was so cool, and I got to hang with him quite a few times throughout that. sporadically. And then after when we won it and everything too, we got to open for him. And he just had so much good insight of just pushing the limits. I think he's such a great example of, you know, almost forcing something to work, like, because he had that one. I remember that one show that he told me about, which was he had a show in London. It hadn't sold any tickets. It had also like maybe 100 tickets, and it was like 700 or 800 cap venue, and they ended up getting a billboard truck, parking it in London Circle or London Square, whatever it was, and it was a picture of him naked. It said Alice Cooper. And after that, and they made it break down in the thing. They got arrested and all this shit, but they ended up selling out the show. And I was like, dude, I got to figure out how to do that in my own way. Maybe not post a naked picture of myself on Instagram, but something to push the limits. It's all about being. I don't know. It's like an outlet. So yeah, it was fun. It's a long-winded answer. Sorry.
Hey, no, I love it. Yeah, nowadays with social media, I don't know if I'd want to be doing exactly that, but
Yeah.
but but you have been able to do that, and you kept building on that success too. And I know you mentioned living in Tempe. You went to Arizona State at least for a little while. You won a battle of the bands there as a freshman, and playing in front of 10,000 students, which I feel like that's even harder than a group of complete strangers where you're going to school with people playing in front of them. What was it like then to do that one? Because I'm guessing that was a totally different experience than the other.
Yeah, that was wild because, yeah, it was a blast. I mean, especially too because we were opening for like an EDM artist called Galantis, and they were like, and we're like kind of at the time, especially, I was just all rock. There was no country or any kind of element or anything, and but dude, it was awesome. We played that show, and for some reason, I don't get nervous for shows. Like I don't know why. Like if you were to tell me to like walk up to a girl at a bar and just introduce myself, I'm 100 times more nervous than playing in front of 10,000 people. I don't know why. It just my brain's weird or something. But it was funny because then I remember like walking around school for the next couple months, and people were like, "Oh, you're the dude who played that thing, dude. I like did Molly the first time watching you." And I was like, "Oh, sick, dude," or it was a girl or something like that. But it was a really fun experience.
I was going to say, just knowing Arizona State, I mean, they never have any fun there.
No, it's really quiet. It's a very quiet, studious, school. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, just listening to you talk, I mean, whether it was kind of, in a sense, nerding out over all the music stuff, being able to learn every little bit of it, to being successful with the competitions. I mean, was there ever a moment for you when you were like, it's music or bust, or I mean, or something that you thought about something other than music, or was it always music or bust?
I think for the most part, it was all music or bust. I think some of the best advice that I got was something that my grandpa had told my dad, and then my dad had kind of preached to me, which was like fail fast. Like if you're gonna fail, fail fast and pivot and figure something else out. Not meaning stop music, but like push the limit, try to figure it out, and then if it doesn't work, then reassess it. 'Cause I think a backup plan is just not a good way to look at it because I feel like it takes everything. Like I know when the first song that ever popped off on social media for me was a song called Overdose, and I had spent the song after I spent the money to record the song because I'd quit my other two jobs that I was working in Nashville to focus on that release. I was like, I need to figure out how to make this song go. I had like enough money for like I don't know, I maybe had like $1,000 or $800 left, just enough to like get some food for the next month and scrap around and whatever, and like pushing it to that limit of like that it has to work. We got to make this work, and I think that was the moment where it was the flip. It flipped for me, which is like go like it made me like realize that it's possible to actually make it work with what I was trying to do, and not saying I don't have doubts all the time. I have like a quarter life crisis like every other day, so it's fine. But it's part of it, I guess.
I was gonna say it's all part of the journey, and I think you're doing okay since that moment, and you
Yeah.
know you talk about moving to Nashville and recording stuff. You were you I think you did you move to Nashville right before the pandemic? Is that like the timing of it?
Yeah, so I kind of had a feeling. that they were going to shut stuff down. There were like rumors about it. So I was like, oh, this is perfect. Let me keep my fingers crossed, move to Nashville, and hopefully they shut down the schools because I still was going to school, but I just moved to the online part right as it
Yeah.
went. And luckily it stayed shut down because the degree I was getting didn't have a full online thing. So I would have had to like stop at some point. But I had a scholarship to go to ASU, so and my grandma really wanted me to graduate, and I was like, all right, I'll do it, you know. So, but yeah, I moved literally a month before like everything shut down, and then I had no friends. I didn't know anybody. I got my ID taken at Red Door, one of the bars, and yeah, yeah, it was rough, but we got through it. So
Well, and I was gonna say, I think you've also said in a weird way, while maybe that initial part wasn't great, it did help you in a sense because you were able to, do some songwriting. You were able to make those connections and find that community. Whereas before, you might have been playing shows or doing stuff, and things might not have worked out like they did.
that's totally true. I mean, I definitely do just trust in, you know, the plan that I feel like God has for people, and I think that that is it. You can't always see it, and I think also if I wouldn't have gone through that time of being so like lost almost for that year, I wouldn't have been able to feel those things to write the kind of music that I do because I never really had gone through a period like that to where I was experiencing what does depression feel like and what is like anxiety or like being lonely and all these different things as much before. So I definitely think it all makes sense now, but in the moment I was like, F this, bro, this sucks ass. You know what I mean? So
I was gonna say
yeah.
you turned a negative into a positive. It took a little while, but
There we go. It took way too long, it felt like. Yeah.
now I do have to ask because I think I read somewhere where one of the first you had never had Nashville hot chicken before moving there, and you loved it. Do you still love it to this day, and is it still part of the the rotation?
The rotation, I do love it, but I have like I have a very like addictive personality with anything. So when I like something, I do it until I don't like it anymore. So it was the same thing with like Hattie B's chicken as it was for Jack Brown's cheeseburgers in Nashville, and I would eat there every freaking day until I started realizing I was getting fat, and then also I didn't like it anymore. But I still like it. I'll get it every couple months. I'll treat myself to a little hot chicken. You
I
know.
like it, and I know too. I believe you love the outdoors in different ways, whether that's being on the water and the mountains. Are you still getting to do that in Nashville, especially now as life is getting a little bit busier with your music and then like you said, producing, writing for others?
Yeah, no, I totally do. It's definitely not as much as I'd like to, especially as like touring season and stuff like that. And I try to like spend at least like maybe like a week out of every year to go to. I like surfing, so I'll cruise out to California if I can, and then yeah, I guess get outside as much as possible. I like running, so when I only have like maybe an hour window, I'll go run outside and stuff. But definitely not a lot, dude. I don't get that much time. I'm either working, producing on other people's records, or writing for myself and producing my stuff, or touring, or doing social media, which is most of my life. So I don't take a lot of time off. It's awesome and it sucks, so it's good.
Well, and earlier you kind of answered this question of how did the band become Eddie and the Getaway. Didn't want to add that last name in there to make it a mouthful. But where did the Getaway come from, and how did you settle on Eddie and the Getaway?
Yeah, I feel like for me, music has always been an escape, and has always been something that feels like it takes you away from whatever is maybe going on in your life. And I think that whether you're happy or you're sad or you're going through whatever, or life is just chilling, you know what I mean? I think that putting on music, it has that feeling, and that's what I wanted to make, the name feel like, which is you can put on my music and be like, it can transport you to somewhere that's maybe happier, or it can take you, keep you where you are, but let you know that you're not the only one feeling the things you're feeling. And also it just, I guess, sounded better than Eddie Eberle, which is it sounds like you're almost like drunk and you're like choking on your tongue a little bit. You know what I mean? Like No shame to my ancestors, but like, so I did that as the name. So
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that. Now, how long have you had that name? Because obviously, like I said earlier, at least half your life you've been doing music, like semi-professionally or professionally. So, how long has it been Eddie in the Getaway?
I guess it first really when I moved to Nashville for the most part. I kind of switched it over to that. I had the original band name was called Analog Outlaws, and then we just did Eberle, which is my last name, which is even worse. It's the part no one can pronounce. So we did that for like maybe 8 months, and then finally came to Eddie and the Getaway. So I think it was like very end of 2020 is when it kind of officially kind of became the thing.
I always love how people get to the name because sometimes it's easy and sometimes it's a lot of work.
Yeah, yeah, dude, because it's something that like you obviously can't really change or you shouldn't change. You know what I mean? You build a name recognition for so long, and then you're like, I don't like it anymore. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's funny.
Well, and now you've got a new EP out, Tumbleweeds and Nicotine.
Yep.
You just released from by the time this drops, it'll be out for a little bit. It's been described as both an escape and a mirror. So what kind of what went into this project, and how did you feel while working on this?
I think when it comes to like this like group of 6 songs, I really wanted something that was on either end of country, which I'm very inspired with, and then also rock, like the 2000s rock thing. Um, and it really was kind of like a culmination of like the last, I guess, like 4 or 5 months of just some songs that I felt like really told my story about the things that I've gone through, because all my music has always been something that I've directly gone through. Like I've never put out a song as Eddie in the Getaway, that's something that was not like directly my story. And I feel like that's really important to me as an artist to make sure that I keep true to myself and also true to the people that listen to it. But it was just kind of something that I felt like was yeah, kind of like that blend of the two influences, and kind of like a time capsule of my life in the last year, I guess. So
And you co-wrote all 6 of the tracks on the EP. EP. Well, clearly, like you said, it's one where you want to have it be part of your story. But what's it like to have it be your story, but also work with others to kind of bring that to life?
it's amazing, dude. I think that's my favorite part about Nashville is I knew when I moved to Nashville, it was like I had a couple people in Arizona be like, dude, if you really want to do this, like move to Nashville. That is where the best of the best are. Especially for what I was trying to do. Like I guess LA and New York are good too, but for me it's like Nashville or nothing. And to be able to put out some songs that I wrote with some of my favorite writers, even before, like 'cause some of them are, just total homies of mine that I kind of came up with, and then others are writers that like John Knight or Lindsey Rhymes or the Warren Brothers, like these dudes that are really like I guess just kind of like legends in Nashville with how big of like songs that you just can't even believe you're in the room with someone who had a part in those kind of songs that were like, oh, I was 14 years old, kissing a girl for the first time and that song was on. And I'm writing with the dude that wrote it today. Like it's such an amazing thing, and yeah, I just feel grateful because I learned so much from guys like that, and there's so many others that I feel the same about. But it was epic, dude. I'm stoked.
Well, and like you said, you do get pretty personal with all that. I mean, Broken Man, is a reflection of your past and the baggage maybe from past relationships as well. Yet, like a statement to still want love and be loved. So, what's it like putting all that personal stuff out there, and then hoping that people kind of either get the story or see themselves in that story? Which on something like that, I'm sure many people did.
Yeah. Um, so like you're saying like more on the so I thought I heard a siren outside. I kind of got ADD on a second. Can you repeat what you said? I'm sorry,
Well,
bro.
talking about like Broken Man, where it's very personal,
Yeah.
talking about past and though the future, where you're still hoping for things, and what's it like to be that honest, one, on a song like that, but two, have people really see themselves in that and connect with it in a certain way.
Yeah, I mean, I think that especially when I first started putting out music that talked about those kind of topics that were so like raw and real and vulnerable to me, it definitely was something that I felt a little uneasy with at first because I was like, dang, like I'm putting this out for the world to like see. I'm opening my heart up and being like, check it out. You know what I mean? Like it's a weird thing, but I think the coolest part is the fact of when you get DMs, you get comments, you have people coming out to shows and telling, completely just hard on their sleeve, just sharing a piece of them to me and just telling how songs have impacted them. Some like to the extreme of being like, I was gonna, you know, I was gonna end my life, and then I heard that song, and you spoke to me, and I didn't. I decided to keep going, and I listen to that song every single morning because it gives me that hope. And then others being like, I just, I was in a abusive relationship for the last 6 years, and that song finally gave me the courage to leave my husband, and like all these crazy things, dude. It's just, it's like wow, that's what music is about to me, is helping people, impacting people, because I feel like I owe it to them because I had artists that I was listening to when I was going through my own BS that helped me get through that and give me something to lean on. And I think it's like the biggest honor, and it's kind of hard to comprehend sometimes. Like you definitely have what's that thing where you don't think it's you?
Oh,
Was it
imposter syndrome. Yeah.
imposter syndrome? Like I definitely feel that sometimes where, even on a small scale or whatever scale I'm on right now, it feels weird sometimes. It's like, wow, that's amazing. Like not weird in a bad way towards them, but weird as in like, dude, am I like, wow, you know what I mean? It's just, I don't know how to say it. It's cool.
No, it's like how wait what why me how what
Yeah.
no you have all those feelings and it makes a ton of sense and you also work with like you said other artists and some of them share a lot of personal things too. Had Jay Webb on recently. He's one of
Oh,
those
let's
you've
go.
also worked with.
Yeah, he's one of my best friends, dude. That's a
Uh,
real dude right there.
and he shares stuff. You have other folks that are in that country harder rock like Lakeview that you've
Yeah.
had on. What's it like doing that side of things, writing and producing for folks like that, and having fun on that end of the spectrum?
Yeah, I mean, I love it because I feel like it's a different outlet where I think either side of it gets tiring for me, meaning like only doing stuff for me or only doing stuff for other people. But having that blend is really refreshing, and also just like as a writer or producer, being able to like help people get what they're trying to say out in the best way possible. And then also because they're like different genres other than me or have different kind of little things, being able to write that kind of song, because I do believe that like certain, it's funny, Jay's song Love Me Tonight, that really took off from that he put out a couple of months ago, was a song that we had written for me. It was just the two of us, and I was talking to this girl like right after I had gotten out of another relationship. I was dating this girl for quite a few years, and it all came tumbling down. And then I met this other girl like a week later, and I was like, I love her. I'm in love. And I had a rebound. I didn't know that I had never had a rebound before. But I came back from seeing her because she was from out of town that weekend. Jay and I hung out, and we wrote that song for me to like show her. And he was obviously pulling because his wife Whitney's amazing. He was writing it for that, but I was writing it for this other thing. And then I teased it. It didn't do anything, and he was like, "I think that song's for me," and I was like, "I think it is too." And then he put it out, and it blew up. You know what I mean? So it is really funny how there's different songs that for different artists. A hit for one might not be a hit for another. So that is a cool outlet for me.
Well, and I was going to say, for you, like you said, you go, I mean, down to Texas, Giovanni, Pecos, all those guys.
Yep.
I mean, that, like you said, all these different sounds. I mean, when you're writing, I'm guessing sometimes you are kind of writing, if you're in a group with them and it's going to possibly be for them, you're leaning that way. But like you said, at times you could just be writing a song and the next thing you know, it fits better here. I mean,
Yeah.
what's it like to try to figure that out too? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's also an interesting process.
Yeah, I think the cool thing, whether it be Giovanni and the Higher Guns, Pigs and the Rooftops, Jay, Lakeview, like Julia Cole, like any of these artists that I've Royal Lynn, like any of these artists that I have written for or written and produced for, I've like I've been like fans of them before. Like I was fans of their music before I started writing with them, especially Pecos and the Rooftops. Like I moved to Nashville listening to this damn song like the entire way. Like I'm talking 24 hours in a freaking U-Haul. That's all I listened to. I'm not even kidding you. That was the song. And I have it where, talk about putting it, speaking it into existence was that kind of moment where stuff kind of lined up. I was talking to different publishers about signing to a couple different ones, and one of them kind of put me in the room with Pecos, and I was like, dude, this is amazing. I was like, I have to do something. Please be good, like, cause I loved his music. You know what I mean? I love their music, and luckily it went good, and we became like really good homies. And I wrote a lot of the songs on the album and produced a couple of them. And I think it's like it definitely helps if you're a fan of the artist or the band that you're writing for. Because I was like, what would I want them to play? And it's kind of the way I do it. Instead of being like, let me write my song for them. It's like, how do I just pull that out of them? It's a totally different mindset than being the focus in the room and having people write for you.
Now I gotta ask, can you hit like as low a note as he can?
Oh hell no, dude! That dude, it's so funny because we'll tour with those guys quite a bit, and we have some shows coming up with them in Texas in November, I believe, and it's funny because like we have very similar hair, we both have mustaches now, and I'll get recognized as Pecos all the time, and it's funny and it sucks at the same time. I love it. It's great. I would love to be recognized as him, but I'm just not 6'8" and like just strong mofo, dude. I'm like 5'11", kind of. I look like I think about working out. You know what I mean? Like I don't look like I work out. I look like I thought about working out a lot. You know what I mean? That's what I look like. So, but yeah, it's fun,
Hey,
dude.
it's working for you. It's working for you. You've been able to build up just a little fan base. I think you've got a little over a
There you
million
go.
across all social media, 80 some million streams. What does it mean to, like you said, to think back to it all to where you are now? And obviously, I know you still want to keep building and growing, but I mean, to connect with such a massive scale and building all that really from the ground up.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of it's been really cool because I haven't really had. I mean, it's cool and not at the same time, but I would rather have it the way that I've been lucky to have it, which is I haven't really had like one giant moment yet. It's just kind of been this culmination of just putting in work of just writing songs and trying to learn how to market these songs the right way and get them in front of people to relate to them. And I mean, if you were to tell me like 5 years ago that I would be not working at a restaurant, a Mexican restaurant, and selling T-shirts on the weekends, and I'd be on a 40-day tour like I'm on right now. I'm in an Airbnb in Michigan because we have 2 off days somewhere. You know what I mean? I'd be thrilled. So I'm just grateful for everyone that has liked the music and comes to shows and buys T-shirts and streams the music and do all that because I get to live my dream because of those people. It's amazing.
Well, and like you said, you're on tour now. I've heard, quote unquote, that they're a little bit adrenaline charged. So, what's your favorite part about being on stage, and what can people expect when they come and see you on stage?
Um, I think being on stage is the best feeling in the whole world for me. There's nothing like it. It's the one place that I feel at peace, even though I'm have my heart rate at probably like 175 BPM and I'm trying to catch my breath the whole time. Um, but I think you can expect to probably the goal. If we put on a good show, you'll probably be asking your friend how much cocaine do you think this guy does. That is the goal. I don't do cocaine. I would love it. That's why I don't do it. You know what I mean? So that's the goal. That would be what you could expect at a show. You'll see our guitarist you know, doing guitar spins around his freaking head, and drummer just beating the shit out of the drums, dude, and me running around being a goofball. So
So, just a little bit of energy, just a little.
yeah, exactly. Just a smidge.
Now I gotta ask. I saw the video on social media. When you guys were kicking off the tour with Dorothy. Has your van been able to go further than 5 feet, and has it gone better than that?
In different ways, yes. I had low oil the second day of the tour, so I put in 3 quarts of oil because I thought that if it said low and it took 13 quarts, that if I put three, that should be fine. Over flooded the engine with the oil. We had to pull off on the side of the road, get it drained, and then we are fine. And we were fine now, you know. And then my drummer got his computer broken, you know, at one of the shows, and you know, we use it for click track and stuff like that. So we do that. It's been great though. My guitarist Mark, he dropped his phone in the hot tub last night, so we're fine though. We're good. Band's
It's
good.
all good.
Yeah, it's fine.
That's just a normal tour.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Now, now, I was gonna say, what's it like to currently be out on tour with Dorothy, and then I know you've got your own set of shows that you're headlining, for this new EP, kind of right after that. What's it like to kind of switch between one where you're kind of the supporting act to then being the headliner?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's been awesome. I really I liked Dorothy's music a lot when I was younger, and same with a lot of the guys in our band, and I think it's definitely a different mentality, but also the same. I think there's like a healthy amount of like, we gotta win this crowd over, you know, and so we go and we're gonna play it really hard, you know, and I think that's kind of the energy that we bring to every show, whether it's headline or opening. But I definitely think we haven't played a whole lot of headlining shows. We're just starting to now. Like the next show in Arizona, that's October 3rd, just sold out today, which is exciting. So just I think it's walking on stage knowing that you have to win a crowd over versus walking on stage knowing that they're already there all for you is two different things. But we'll always just give it all no matter what.
I mean, have you seen though, as you go along, people starting to figure out who you are and start to sing those songs now?
Yeah, I mean it's the coolest thing ever, dude. Like this whole first, half of this tour that we're on right now, we're playing a lot of places that, I've never even been like in my life, like Maine or Massachusetts and Maryland and a lot of the Northeast that I just never really went to because I'm from Arizona. And, showing up there and opening for Dorothy and seeing people sing the words in places that I've never been, and people coming to merch being like, "Yo, we drove 9 hours from Maine, to come see you tonight," and I was just like, "What the? Why? Appreciate you, but why? You know what I mean?" So I hope you liked it. That's kind of, I don't know what to say, So it's fun.
Well, now you're just gonna have to go to Maine.
I gotta go to Maine. We got a big. We'll eat some lobster rolls and play some shows in Maine. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's not a bad gig. It sounds pretty good.
Not a bad, yeah, dude. I don't even know if I like lobster. I've never had it, but heard about it. So, yeah.
Now, at the beginning of every show, I ask, what you're drinking, which you enjoy good tequila. I always like to, as we get close to the end, ask this one because it's always interesting to see your, who I'm talking to's thought process. What's your favorite song of yours to perform live right now?
I think favorite song to play live right now is "Sleep Alone," because that song, it came out, I guess, June, or like I think it was the last day of May actually, and to see every single show we've played, even when we played like Lollapalooza this year in August or in July, just seeing like, as soon as I go, "You only want me," like they're like, "One for money, two for nothing, because you don't sleep." Like it's like, I don't know. I think seeing that, I don't know. It's just fun, dude. It's like 2 minutes and 30 seconds. You just rock out hard and then peace. You know what I mean? So that's my favorite.
Well, and then do you, for folks that go to the show, because I'm always curious about this, because I feel like the live show, for someone like you, you're going to put a little more thought into it too. And, they're not maybe going to hear exactly what they heard on the album in a good way.
Yeah.
So what's it like kind of maybe being able to like switch things up a little bit or throw a little guitar solo or drum solo over there?
That's one of my favorite things to do. I mean, Jack, my drummer, who's my music director for the shows and stuff too. Him and Mark, our lead guitarist, they really like have a lot of great ideas when it comes to that because they're such live music lovers, and I feel very fortunate to have guys like that in my band. And we'll anytime we have, we're always big on like transitions in between songs. We don't want any dead space. We want drum solos. We have drum solos, guitar parts. We have broken down parts, even in an opening set where it's only 40 minutes. Having that and then having like big outros and guitar solos and just all of that is, I feel like growing up on like rock and those like legendary artists, they all did that. They all had moments and took a crowd on a roller coaster during a show, and I feel like hopefully we do the same. That's the goal. And I feel like with our set list we do, and it's yeah, it's my favorite part of the show are those moments, exactly what you're talking about.
Well, and then obviously you got the headline lining shows coming up in October, November. I mean, I don't want you to give away anything, but I mean, like, what do you got something up your sleeve for that at least?
Oh yeah, a lot of bad jokes that I'm saying between songs. Some stuff that probably won't make a lot of sense. No, but yeah, we got some really cool stuff. We got some new songs that we're been playing for the first time. A couple of different moments, and yeah, it's definitely gonna be fun, dude. I'm really looking forward to it. It's our first headline tour ever, and it's going great, and tickets are going, which is crazy to think that. I don't know. It's just same thing like the what's the syndrome? What's it called? Something where you can't don't believe it's you.
Imposter.
Imposter. Gosh, I can never remember that. But it is a little bit imposter syndrome. So I want to make sure the shows are great because I still don't believe it's true sometimes. So it's great.
Well, it is, and it's well deserved because the music's
I
great.
appreciate it.
And
Thank
like I
you.
said, your new EP, Tumbleweeds and Nicotine, out now. But obviously, like I said, you got the EP out, you got shows. So what else is on the horizon for you? Obviously, we're closing in on the end of 2025. Weird to say that. I mean, we still got a couple months, but
Yep.
closer to the end than the beginning, and then obviously on into 2026. What can folks expect from you? The rest of this way.
Yeah, I think we release music every month, so bunch of new songs, not stopping. Even though the EP has a bunch of new songs, we're just gonna keep putting them out. Probably gonna be doing a collab with one of my favorite artists in December. I don't want to jinx it, so we'll have to wait. And yeah, dude, just more music, more shows, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Same stuff I
Love
was
it.
doing a year ago. Yep, just
But
more of
hey,
it. Yeah.
you more of it, and whoever is working with you, you did a great tease there, putting it out there,
Thanks.
leaving people on the edge. Can't wait to see what happens there. And Eddie, man, thanks for
Oh
talking
yeah.
about your new album or your new EP, Tumbleweeds and Nicotine. Folks, give it a listen. You will not regret it. And Eddie, thanks for sharing a drink with me, man. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Cheers. Cheers. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.